Hello, welcome back to my kitchen. I really decided to do this little video clip because of the comments and questions that some of you posted in the last couple of days, and I kind of decided that it's going to be a little bit easier to have a little conversation rather than putting replies. Because some of the questions that you guys asked or some of the comments you made I think were pretty interesting, and I'd like to spend a little bit of time talking or responding to some of you. So let's take a look at some of the questions and comments that you guys posted to me. And the first question was, is this a virtual background? No, it's not. So that's really rather that's really dark out right now. Okay, are you going to make egg fried rice? Yes. And I'm going to make Uncle Roger proud. So look out for that. Kampung Kid egg fried rice coming up soon in the next couple of days. I'm hungry watching you cook. Okay, great. Good job. So here's another question. So I'm not going to mention names, and you guys know who you are when I read your questions or comments that you've made. So I've got this question: what's financial resilience? I saw you making a post on that a couple of days ago in a talk show called Ouch My Money. Okay, so Ouch My Money is a show that we decided to come. A few of us decided to get together to have conversations about this topic of money, and really because whilst we use the word money or we talk about money all the time, we discovered that people really didn't understand what money really is. So Ouch My Money is an attempt to have conversations around this thing that we all take for granted. Okay, and we distinguish what money is as an object. Money in the form of cash, and money measured in terms of currency, and strategies around money. Okay, what we do with money. Okay, and the first thing that we do with money, we earn it or we make it. Okay, so we've got to have a bunch of strategies on how we make or earn money. And after we've made or earned the money, the next thing that we've got to do is to preserve its value, and we call that keeping the money. Okay, which really is a bunch of strategies to manage money, okay, so that it does not lose its value over time. Okay, and so here's the thing. I just talked about this thing called value of money. Okay, it really is important to know that in order for us to actually have a conversation about value, okay, that we have a conversation about price. Okay, so money as an object has price. Okay, money as an object has price. Okay, which is the number that we attach to this object. Okay, and this object, whilst it has a price, it also has a value. Okay, is the value of money the same as its price? And the answer is no. Okay, so the value of money can be higher than or lower than its price. If we have a conversation about price of money and the value of money, then there is a third element that we need to talk about, which is the cost of money. And this trinity, the price, the value, and the cost, creates a conversation around the strategies that we create to make money, to keep money, and then the third set of strategies is to grow money. These are the three sets of strategies that we need to understand when we talk about what we do with money. Okay, and this is the thing that we've realized that a lot of people are not clear about. Okay, so we went right down to the basics to create this platform to educate, okay, to talk about this thing called money, so that decisions can be made in a more deliberate manner, in a more predictable manner, with clearer outcomes in mind, and that in the eventual long term reduces the risk, okay, of what we do with our money. Intention really is to provide that means to get to where we really want to go in our lives. So money really is just means to an end. And if we take a step back and look at the entire context of this conversation of money, it's really about getting to a place that we want to go in our lives. I firmly believe that all of us have got dreams. We've got dreams, we've got hopes, we've got desires, we've got goals, we've got things that we want to do in our lives. And money really is just a means to getting to whatever it is that we want to do. But very often we forget this thing that we want to do, okay, and the focus, these things that we want to do, and then the focus becomes about the money. But money on its own is a meaningless conversation. So we talk about money being the idea, we talk about cash being the execution of this idea, because what is money really anyway? Money was an idea. Did money always exist? No, it did not. Okay, so money really was just an idea that was created, okay, that was created a long time ago to facilitate an exchange of value. So the idea that we have, the idea that we have today really started with an exchange. So we've got cash, which is the execution. It allows us to execute this idea called money. And we've got currency, which is the measure of cash on this idea called money. So we've got all these conversations about money, more than it is possible for me to actually talk about right now. So we do Ouch My Money, the Ouch My Money talks every 2 Wednesdays. Okay, the last week we just had one a couple of Wednesdays ago, and the next one is going to be scheduled for 2 Wednesdays, the Wednesday after next. What we would like right now really is for you guys, if you have questions, challenges about money situations, post us a message. Look for us on Facebook, Ouch My Money. Okay, drop us a message and we'll have a conversation about that. Okay. What is financial resilience? Okay, that was one of the topics that also came up. If we look at the root definition of the word resilience, it is simply an ability to endure. Okay, an ability to endure difficult circumstances or situations or challenges and still come up on top of the situation. So when we talk about financial resilience, it's really about how we are able to face and overcome obstacles that come up that challenge us financially. And that is especially relevant today because of where the world is. When COVID happened, it caught all of us off guard. Okay, there are still people in denial, and the rest of the world is attempting to figure out what to do, where we're heading with this. We've not yet definitively found a solution, okay, to the disease. What we do have are possibilities. In the meantime, life goes on. Okay, borders have shut down. The world is in a global economic crisis. Travel has stopped. You guys know the story. But life goes on. Okay, life goes on. We've still got to live every day. We've still got to handle our everyday financial obligations. And amidst the uncertainty of the job market, okay, as economies around the world slow down, as the economy in Singapore slows, given its small size and its dependence on external economies, we are facing probably one of the greatest we're probably facing one of the greatest economic challenges in our history. So what do? We believe, okay, and when I say we, I'm really talking about myself, me, and my other colleagues, my other business partners, Chunho and Simon from Strengths Quotient Institute. We firmly believe that the way through this is if each and every one of us is able to create personal financial resilience. When we stop worrying about money, how to make it, how to keep it, how to grow it, if we stop being dependent on our jobs, if we are able to, despite anything else that's going on out in the world, despite anything else that's going on with the economy, disease or not, if we are able to continue to create an income, if we are able to continue to fulfill our financial obligations, everything else falls into place. How come? Because if we are financially resilient, it simply means that we have the ability to overcome any situation, any financial challenge. And if we are able to do that without being dependent on our jobs, we take the stress off the companies. Okay, we will then be able to fully focus on what we can do best, what we can do most of, to continue to move forward, to continue to create value. Okay, the thing is, then the question begs, how do we do that? Okay, how do we create financial resilience? And that's the conversation that we want to start. Okay, is it just earning income from your job? If not, then where else can you create an income? The world has changed. The world has evolved very, very quickly because of COVID. It has accelerated a lot of things. What we have right now at our disposal that we did not used to have at the scale at which it exists today is technology. It is far easier today to start a business, for example, to start a business or to create alternative income sources because of the availability, because of possibilities created by the available technologies at our disposal today. So it's not going to be a one size fits all. Okay, there isn't going to be one way that everyone will be able to generate an income. And that's the conversation that we want to start. Okay, besides being dependent on the income provided by your job, where else can that come from on the basis that you do not need to put in a lot of money to create that income? So these questions came up. These questions came up over the last 6 months as we face challenges in the pandemic, when we had conversations, when we had questions about pivoting, about whether companies would survive or not, whether people would be losing their jobs. And really the answer, the obvious answer that was staring us in the face was if everyone can create financial resilience, that takes a load off the system. Okay, then you really don't worry, you really aren't dependent anymore on the income from a job, because you've got alternative means of generating an income. So we created that conversation, and we created a program over 5 weeks, 5 weekends, that takes a look at what we need to do to create personal financial resilience for ourselves. Is it going to be from our job? And if it's from our job, what do we need to do in our job to create that continued income stream without being worried about whatever's going on in the economy? If it's not from our job, then what other avenues are there? Do you start a business? Okay, not everyone can be an entrepreneur. Not everyone can do the internet marketing thing. Then where else can that come from? Okay, and then the third conversation is really about leverage. How do you leverage? What is available that you can leverage on to generate an income? And that's where we go into the conversations on investments. What do you need to know about the different investment classes, the different asset classes? What do you need to know, okay, about trading versus investing, for example? And they're two totally different activities. What do you need to know about whether you should invest in property, and what type of property you can invest in? Is property still a good investment class today in Singapore, or is there something else? Then we look at stocks, we look at the different, we look at equity, we look at stocks, options, precious metals. What makes sense for you? Because all these are just means to help you get to point B, a goal, a dream, a desire. All these are instruments, and it shouldn't matter what the instrument is. What matters more to us is how do you make use of these instruments, these tools, in a way that would work for you based on your own financial situation, based on your experience, based on your skill set, based on how you are wired. So some of you may be interested in this conversation, because the thing is this: it takes time. Okay, it is not something that happens. Building financial resilience is not something that happens overnight. Okay, it actually takes time. And here's where I take lessons from the farm. Okay, if you want to harvest in the fall, you got to start planting in spring. You got to start planting in spring because it takes that long. So it is not get rich quick. It is not instant. It is not an instant solution. Okay, but the thing is, if you don't start, if you don't sow, the guarantee is there isn't going to be harvest. But if you do decide that you want to plant the seeds, then what seeds do you plant? What seeds do you plant? And the seeds that you plant depend on the land that you have. It depends on what the type of land that you have. Depends on where you are, what your climate is. Do you plant single harvest crops or do you plant multiple harvest crops? Okay, it depends. There isn't a one size fits all. But the thing is, if you don't plant, you're not going to harvest. And that's the fact, that's the truth that we cannot run away from. So the financial resilience conversation, for some of you, may make sense. If there is an engine that you want to set up, okay, if you've not done that already and you want to find out how, I'm going to post a link in the comments below, and you can find out more about this conversation that we have and how you can create that financial resilience engine for yourself. Okay, so that's financial resilience, and that really is something that's very close to us right now, because we are seeing far too many people who are fearful. Okay, and we know that we know that this situation is not going to be resolved very quickly. So I saw someone post this earlier on Facebook, and it said this: tough times don't last, tough people do. And I agree. I agree that tough times don't last and that tough people do. The problem with that is, who's going to last longer? What is going to last longer? Okay, the tough times, whether we're going to outlast the tough times or not. What do you think? Okay, so these are the few things that some of you asked and posted and messaged me directly with, and felt that it made sense. It would make sense to share this in a way that is very difficult to write. And I hope that this makes sense to you. Keep the messages coming, keep your questions coming, and I'll do this again. And that's all I have for this evening. So, Kampung Kid, signing out. Good night.